Hello, everyone. My name is Eduardo Ramirez. I'm in the class HAP 360 for the 2023 summer term, and I'm going to be talking about privacy and security. Now, I'm going to be recording this from my phone. Unfortunately, my computer has no audio, so I'm not able to, or my computer has audio that's essentially not working because of the built in microphone. So, essentially, I can't do any type of screen recording as it won't pick up any of the audio. But I'll be doing this from my phone. So, let's get started. Now, when it comes to privacy and security in healthcare, HIPAA is kind of something that you have to mention. And what HIPAA means essentially, or Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act, HIPAA is a law that regulates healthcare information. And it essentially applies to healthcare professionals and health insurance companies. And what HIPAA compliance requirements, they set standards for protecting electronic patient health and medical data. So lawmakers essentially established HIPAA to meet several core goals, which included improving healthcare for patients, protecting patient privacy, requiring entities to provide medical records to patients upon request, and then ensuring patients are notified in an event of some type of data breach at a hospital or practice. Now, privacy in healthcare. With the rapid growth of technology and the extensive use of electronic medical records, patient privacy has become a top concern for healthcare providers. So HIPAA's primary form of patient protection is its privacy rule. And the HIPAA privacy rule provides standards for the use and disclosure of individuals' health information, and it also sets the standards for patients' privacy rights and controls over their health information. So essentially, like individual patients can essentially choose, pick and choose who can see their protected health information with some type of written and signed documentation. And this can apply to employers. It can apply to educate in the education sector. It can apply, all over the place. Patients have privacy and they have the freedom that they deserve and that they should require. Now, when it comes to privacy, you also have to mention security. And security in healthcare, essentially, the HIPAA security rule established safety standards for covered entities and business associates on the security side. And so safeguard methods were required, highly recommended for these practices, which included insurance CIA method or CIA triad, strong data protection, internal security awareness and training, and much more. And so that applies in security. So the next slides will essentially briefly cover the physical and technical safeguards that can be crucial in security of healthcare information. And these are safeguards that are essentially recommended by NIST that essentially complies with the HIPAA regulations. So some technical safeguards in healthcare security. Technical safeguards should be implemented, which is meant to protect electronic protected health information and control access to it. So some of those safeguards include access controls, audit controls, integrity controls, person or entity authentication, and then transmission security. And these safeguards are very much commonly used all over the place. They're used in education, they're used in the private sector at big tech companies, they're used in the public sector like governments, and they should be used at hospitals as well. And the big thing about these safeguards is that they're pretty successful. They're very much good to use. Working in the IT security sector, doing internships and such, these methods are very much implemented and they're very much aggressively pushed. With authentication, multi-factor authentication is a big thing. Transmission security with servers, you're gonna have things like encryption, strong encryption, and then audit controls, access controls. Very much talking about least privilege and then running security audits and such. So these are very important safeguards that should be implemented in healthcare security. And then talking about physical security safeguards in healthcare security. And physical safeguards usually involves the physical control of the healthcare electronic information systems and its facilities. And some of the safeguards include physical access control, limiting the physical access to EPHI. Workstation use, so essentially establishing workflows and configuration requirements for workstations where EPHI gets accessed, and then workstation security, restricting workstation use to authorized users. So just now allowing everybody to just be in the workstation, limiting they use to authorize individuals, having logging sheets for the workstation, working with servers and computers and such. And then that falls under device and media control. Govern the receipt and removal of hardware and media containing ePHI, and making sure that's all controlled, making sure everything's flowing, and making sure it's all controlled through access control. Um, so yeah, I essentially covered privacy and security, uh, which all falls under HIPAA. So covering the safeguards for security, talking about the HIPAA privacy rule and how important it is to healthcare as well. But I also wanted to touch about with the increase of malicious attacks in the healthcare field, I think a lot of these safeguards should be implemented aggressively. And at times, like hospitals will have holes that aren't fully covered when it comes to like things like IT staffing or technology. So, and I want to talk a little bit about that. When it comes to essentially like the holes that hospitals have, working or having knowing people that work in that field, essentially like you're gonna have these hospitals that are running on outdated technology. You're gonna have these hospitals that are short staffed on the IT side. And so I think the big thing is when you're implementing these safeguards, you're really touching upon those rules. You're really, you're upgrading the software that's needed. You're patching. You're doing all those things. So I think that's the best way in protecting patients' privacy and securing their information. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of what I had to talk about privacy and security, talking about HIPAA, talking about the different rules that fall under HIPAA, and talking about the safeguards that should be implemented in the healthcare field. So yeah, that's all I have, and thank you for your time.